Okay, I've had so many issues trying to film this video, like audio issues and having parts of the house layout wrong, that this is the last time I'm attempting this, so hopefully it goes okay. We're going to go over the different police reports, some from Moscow Police Department, some from Idaho State Police, and just go over all the places that they said that blood was found in the house. So this one is talking about Jack Showalter's apartment, but they compare blood spots found in his apartment to blood spots found on the banister wall and the wall on the stairwell to the ground floor inside 1122 King Road. That's first floor down here. Okay, blood. North wall above floor 1 and 2 staircase. This is the really interesting stuff. North wall above floor 1 and 2 staircase. This is on the second floor, but the wall high up above the stairs. I'll insert a picture of that here. And then north wall above floor 1 and 2 staircase right here. Collected from wall above floor 1 and 2 staircase on west wall. West wall. How would that have gotten there? It's almost like there was blood everywhere, and that's the places that people couldn't reach to clean it up. And then it says collected from south side of half wall floor 2 here. Same thing. All right. Ping pong table, and then it says, now this is same exhibit number, but this is from the ISP records. This is from the MPD records. Same exhibit number. It says blood swab collected from west wall of living room. That's where those paintings are. Near the good vibe sign, but that's where the paintings are. Okay. North wall of hallway near west bedroom entrance. This is about Xana's room. Right here. Exterior of the door of Xana's room. Front floor near the open door of Xana's room. And then it says, this is all about Xana's room. Light switch. Above bed, south wall right here. West wall between bed and nightstand. Nightstand. From the floor under Xana right here. West wall near mirror. This is the mirror right here. And then left leg of desk along north wall right here. And this is the window that goes out to like that ledge in the front of the house, and then the ladder was over here. Right here. South wall of hallway of floor 2. Right here. Folding table. Kitchen floor near north side cabinets. That's right there. Third floor. Third floor southeast bedroom. That's Maddie's room. On the door cast off. Door cast off. North wall cast off. Banister of floor 2 and 3 stairwell. Exterior of door of Maddie's room. Edge of door, Maddie's room. This one is interesting. Exterior of upper door casing of floor 3 bathroom. That's over here. And then in Maddie's room, north wall above bed. East wall above bed. East wall between the bed and the nightstand. South wall near closet. From floor near foot of bed. And then this one is super interesting. See, this is from MPD, this is from ISP. Upper west wall of floor 3 west bedroom. This is Kaylee's room they're talking about. Notice how in the MPD report they tried to obfuscate that fact. Like, floor 3, bedroom 2, northwest wall. Well, which one is bedroom 2? Couldn't that be... No, they're talking about Kaylee's room. They're talking about right here in Kaylee's room. Okay, these are all excerpts from different officers' reports. These are from ISP reports. They're talking about, as you go up the stairs, you enter a small living room area. There's a beer pong table, partially blocking the entry to the west hallway. The table had solo cups, There were multiple areas. It says red liquid throughout here. I'm just going to say blood because it goes on to say that it's blood. There were multiple areas of blood on the table. As I walked west from the living room, there was a half wall to my right. I could see multiple drops and runs of blood along the entire half wall. Across the half wall north, I saw more blood on the wall, above the first and second floor staircase. How would blood have gotten there? It appeared to be cast off. Continuing west down the hallway, on the north wall of the hallway, near the bedroom door, there appeared to be a blood transfer mark at approximately shoulder height, however tall this officer is. Okay, this one. From the living room, looking into the west bedroom, I could see Xana lying near the center of the room. Her legs and arms appeared to be covered in blood. So, this officer could see this. Dylan and Hunter Johnson could not somehow. Her legs and arms appeared to be covered in blood. As I entered the bedroom, I saw multiple blood drops near the entrance and multiple red-colored drips on the door above and below the doorknob. And then they're talking about Ethan was laying in the bed. Multiple walls appeared to have blood cast off, and there were multiple areas on the floor with pools of blood. Okay, and then it says, outside this bathroom door, there appeared to be small drops of blood near the baseboard, a small smear of blood on the south wall, and a hair stuck to the wall. Talking about the kitchen, the sliding door was just over halfway opened. Talking about the handprints and the face print on the window here. There were also red-colored drips on the north side cabinets near the sink and a red-colored liquid drop on the floor. The red-colored marks appeared to possibly be blood. Well, based on the Medo Black pictures and processing, I would say that it was blood. As I walked south up the stairs, they switched back to the north. On the center wall banister were blood smears. Okay, and then third floor. This is talking about Maddie's room. Multiple walls and the ceiling had areas of blood cast off. So somehow Brian didn't have any blood on him when he got in his car, but there was blood on the ceiling. And it says Maddie had multiple visible cuts on her face. Kaylee had severe trauma to her face. There was aspirated blood coming from her mouth. Near Maddie's left hip, there was a tan-colored leather sheath, partially covered by the comforter, on the door edge. I saw multiple blood transfer smears. The upper mark was at approximately my shoulder height. If this is pain, then it's probably about 3 foot high. Here are some MPD reports from various officers. Talking about on the second floor, I saw a female covered in blood in the bedroom on the northwest side of the second floor, Xana's room. I believe this female to be Xana. I looked inside the bedroom. Xana was laying, and it was obvious an intense struggle had occurred. Xana was obviously deceased. Not obvious to Hunter and Dylan. There was blood smeared on various items in the room and all over the floor. There was blood cast off on the walls in various places, including above Xana's body. That kind of sounds like they mean the ceiling, but I'm not sure. It says she was on her back. Xana was on her back on the floor in the center of the room with her head towards the west. Xana was in her underwear and a long-sleeved gray shirt. Both her shirt and underwear were covered in blood. Xana's face and body were covered in dried blood. I could see what appeared to be defensive knife wounds on Xana's hands. Okay. And then, talking about Ethan. Ethan's head wasn't visible and appeared to be between the bed and the south wall. There was some blood cast off and what appeared to be arterial blood spray above where Ethan's head was located. As I approached, this is from another officer, as he approached Xana's room, he could see a body, later identified as Xana's, laying on the floor. Xana was laying on her back with her feet facing the east and her head facing west. Xana had on thong-type underwear and a gray sweatshirt. There was a large amount of blood on the floor around Xana as well. I could see numerous wounds on Xana's arms, hands, and face, which appeared to have been caused by an edged weapon. Just next to Xana on the west wall, was a small white nightstand which appeared to have been moved as it was pushed against the wall at an odd angle. There was blood on this nightstand in various locations. And it says the bed in Xana's room was situated on the south wall of the bedroom, with the head of the bed appearing to be towards the west wall. I could see Ethan laying on his back in the bed with some type of blanket pulled over his midsection. Ethan's body was at an angle on the bed so that his head was up against the south wall, and his feet were hanging off the bed on the north side. I could not clearly see the wounds to Ethan's head and neck area, but could see a very large amount of blood on the bed, as well as what appeared to be blood spatter on the wall next to Ethan's head and neck. I also noticed 2 large cuts to the back of Ethan's legs. The wounds appeared to be deep into the tissue, but were difficult to see due to Ethan's body position. And then from another officer, it says, I observed Xana wearing a sweatshirt and underwear laying in the middle of the bedroom, floor covered in blood, deep lacerations, defensive wounds, and the female was surrounded by blood on the floor. How Dylan and Hunter couldn't see this, I don't know. But I wanted to point something out that I'm curious how they could tell she had on thong underwear, considering she was laying on her back. And also, Ethan was on his back, laying sideways on the bed. So we're supposed to believe that, for one, he was sleeping like this, sideways. And 2, the wounds the cuts were on the backs of his legs. He's laying on his back. How would that have happened with him laying down? Obviously, that happened when Ethan was upright. The cuts to the back of his leg. It had to have been the case. It had to have been. Think about it. How and why would someone have cut the backs of Ethan's legs if he was laying on his back? It doesn't make any sense. Here is the 3rd floor. These are all MPD reports from various officers. So, this one says, I observed Kaylee lying on the north side of the bed and Madison laying on the south side of the bed with their heads towards the east. Kaylee and Maddie were covered in a pink blanket which was covered in blood. There was a large pool of blood near Kaylee's midsection. There was blood cast off on the east and north walls above Kaylee and Maddie. Maddie appeared to be laying up against Kaylee. Maddie had what appeared to be wounds to her forearm and hands, which, in my opinion, sounds like defensive wounds. I don't think she was killed in her sleep either. Maddie had a gash under her right eye, which appeared to go from the corner of her eye to her nose. Kaylee was unrecognizable as her facial structure was extremely damaged. So, notice when they were describing, like, Xana being stabbed, like having knife wounds to her face, they said it like that, but this says Maddie had a gash under her right eye. It kind of sounds like she was also hit in the face. Like Kaylee, but just not as bad. And then another report, it says the female laying on the left half of the bed her face was completely disfigured and was stabbed several times. So, see where it says Kaylee was stabbed in the face, but I think they were both hit in the face and stabbed, unfortunately. So it goes on to say, I was unable to comprehend exactly what I was looking at while trying to discern the nature of the injuries. For some reason, that is just one of the statements that gets to me the most from all of these officer reports. The second female on the right half of the bed had multiple stab wounds. Another report, on the 3rd floor in the southeast bedroom, so that's Maddie's room, I saw 2 clothed females laying on a bed on their backs who appeared deceased. The female on the left side of the bed in relation to the bedroom door, so that's Kaylee, had an extreme amount of lacerations to her face and upper body, which made her unrecognizable. The other female, Maddie, had multiple lacerations on her upper body and some blood on her face. I walked to the far... These people walking in this crime scene. I walked to the far side of the bed to determine if the female on the right, Maddie, was beyond help. I saw the female's leg was off the edge of the bed and it had lividity. Once I noticed the lividity in Maddie's leg, I backed out of the room.
and walked right back through any blood on the floor. And then they talk about they checked the rest of the third floor and saw it was clear. There was a poodle in Kaylee's room on the bed, which was later taken to the Humane Society. After clearing the home, I briefly interviewed Hunter Johnson. Hunter said he was at his apartment, and his girlfriend, Emily Allant, received a phone call from one of the girls who lived at 1122 King Road. Johnson said Allant was called by one of the residents who said they could not wake the female on the floor. That would be Xana. Johnson said he came over to the home at approximately 11:55 a.m. Johnson said he saw the female on the floor in the bedroom and did not see the male on the bed, who he identified as Ethan, before grabbing the knife. Grabbing the knife from where? Johnson said he entered the bedroom and checked the female's pulse and found none. He said he did not check Ethan and left the room. I thanked Hunter Johnson for talking with me and told him he could go stand with his girlfriend Emily, who was with the other residents in front of the home. So, no attempt to separate the witnesses at any point. And also, I don't think he could have checked Xana's pulse without having walked through the giant puddle of blood. But another officer's report talking about on the third floor, Kaylee's room, the only thing of note was the sheets on the bed were pulled back in a manner which suggested someone had been laying in the bed and then gotten out of it, which I think is exactly what happened. The bed was situated along the north wall. This is in Maddie's room now. As I entered this bedroom, I could see two females in the single bed in the room. The bed was situated along the north wall of the bedroom, and both females, later identified as Maddie and Kaylee, were laying on their backs with their heads towards the east and their feet towards the west. Both Kaylee and Maddie had numerous visible stab wounds and were covered in a significant amount of blood. I also later noticed what appeared to be a tan leather knife sheath laying on the bed next to Mogan's right side when viewed from the door. I remained in the room for a moment, and then proceeded back out. I remained on scene and conducted several more thorough walkthroughs of the scene with the ISP forensic team, the coroner, and the prosecutor. So, doing the absolute most to contaminate this crime scene. Alright, so these are reports pertaining to the defense. So, the first one is talking about how on January 27th, 2023, defense expert Matt Nodal processed 1122 King Road at the request of Ann Taylor. And it says that Matt Nodal collected multiple items from the residents. This is interesting. It says, items Nodal collected included clothing from the laundry room, swabs of various stains from throughout the residence, wall sections and flooring from Nodal's and Mogan's rooms containing various stains. And here's the next report, an MPD report that pertains to the same thing. It says, February 2nd, 2023, Brett Payne and Dustin Blaker responded to the secure storage area at the city shop to take photos of property belonging to Dylan Mortensen and another unidentified female. MPD had previously removed items belonging to Dylan, Bethany, Xana, Ethan, Maddie, and Kaylee. For some reason, they did that. Items had also been removed from a spare bedroom on the first floor. Ann Taylor, Ann spelled wrong, defense counsel, was granted permission to go through these items to see what could be released back to the proper owners. Prior to Ann Taylor being given a chance to look at these items, property belonging to Xana, Maddie, and Kaylee had already been released. MPD had also given Dylan back her belongings, but we were able to get her to return them. Okay, so Ann Taylor requested that they set aside the following items. Items from Dylan's belongings: a handwritten note, pink and white blanket with red hearts, pink and white cloth, black and white Vans shoes, Vans, red and white shoes, and black and white Converse shoes. And then items from the spare bedroom, Adidas black and white short sleeve t-shirt, and a pink and green coat. And it says they set these items aside in a cardboard box until Miss Taylor could get a court order stating she could take them. Next report. This is an ISP report. It says Ann Taylor requested multiple items be retained from 1122 King Road. So on June 8th, 2023, I conducted presumptive testing on multiple items retained from the residence. 2 items tested were presumptively positive for blood. On February 2nd, 2023, MPD retained the following items from the residence. It was that same list from the previous report, but on June 8th, 2023, I presumptively tested the items from Report 140 with Blue Star at the MPD evidence storage. The pink and white colored blanket from Dylan's room and the green and pink colored coat tested presumptive positive for blood. And then it says that they requested the evidence technician to send the presumptive positive items to the ISP forensic lab for further testing. And then we got an MPD report by Brett Payne that says it's an interview with Dylan about the green jacket. On Wednesday, July 10th, 2024, Sergeant Gilbertson and I met via Zoom with Dylan, her mother, and their attorney. This is about the green and pink jacket that was tested by defense counsel in this case. It just said the ISP was testing it, but whatever. The interview was not recorded, of course. It should be noted the jacket was initially not collected as evidence and was turned over to the Mortensen family as personal property. Bro, what are you talking about? You had to go get these items out of evidence. So, whatever. I asked Dylan if she had seen the jacket in question. Dylan told me the jacket did not look familiar at all, and her mother stated the same thing.
Speed,